Trenton, Missouri is the kind of town where people notice when something is out of place, where neighbors know your last name, your parents, and usually your business. Trenton's located in north central Missouri and around this time had a population of about 5,500 people, 5,500. So a pretty small town. And when 19-year-old Tanner Ward walked out of his house on June 7th, 2017, and told his family, I'll be back in 30 minutes, save me some dinner, but never came home, people noticed. The community noticed, and they wanted answers. And what they didn't know was that Tanner's disappearance would eventually fracture their small town, divide a community, raise questions about the credibility of local law enforcement, and leave a family without answers, even to this day. This is Missouri Mayhem, Mystery and Murder. I'm Megan.
And I'm Mindy. Welcome to our True Crime Sister podcast. Can you believe this is already episode number 35?
Woo woo.
35.
35. Yay.
Thank you so much to our listeners for supporting us and staying with us.
I know when we first started, we were like, hey, to make one, and now we've made over 30.
That is...
Yeah, thank you, Mayhem fans. We do this for you guys, for the families of our victims. We do this so we can be advocates for women, minorities, children, elderly, anybody who needs someone to listen.
And the only way we are able to continue this journey is through your support. So thank you a million times over for downloading and following our podcast.
Yes, today's case is exactly why we do this show. One of our amazing listeners, Megan M., recommended this case to us a few weeks ago through our email. And you guys, this case is going to stick with you. Once I started researching for today's episode, I literally could not stop thinking about Tanner, his family, and the town of Trenton. This is one of those cases where the official or supposedly official answer does exist on paper, but the doubt in that answer, the lack of evidence to support the official finding, and the lack of law enforcement investigation creates more and more questions, and this is why Tanner's case continues to stay alive today.
Okay. Well, I don't know a lot about this case, but very interested, Megan.
Yeah, this case I think is, I don't know if it's unusual in this fact, because I think a lot of communities become involved when something like this happens in their community. But Trenton wants justice for Tanner, and they don't feel like justice has been done. And that's the message I got was, could you do this case to keep Tanner's name out there, to keep hope for the family? And so that's what we're doing. You guys, just like a lot of our episodes, there is mayhem. Before we get started, trigger warning, we will be talking about suicide, potential death by hanging, acts done to a corpse, other violent things. So please keep that in mind. All right. Should we start talking about who Tanner
let's
was?
talk about who he was.
Yeah. Tanner Scott Ward was born on September 7th, 1997 in Trenton, Missouri. In the summer of 2017, he's just a young 19-year-old kid growing up like we did in small-town America. And when researching, I saw over and over how much Tanner meant to people in his community. He was a son, a sibling to two sisters and a brother, a fiance, a father. His mom, Lisa, and father, Curtis, described him as a devoted dad to his young daughter, Sophia, and someone who cared deeply about his family. His sisters, Kelsey and Katie, spoke how he was always kind of playful, he was very loyal, and that their family is a close-knit family. And even with the mistakes, as teenagers do, in their teenage years, Tanner was still remembered by his loved ones as someone who was trying to build a future for himself, his child, and create a new path for himself. When you listen to other podcasters, when I listen to local news segments, they often highlighted these personal details about Tanner because this is a case about a real person, a real young man who had real hopes, real connections, real people who still are not stopping and fighting for him. And like many teenagers, Tanner struggled. I mean, it'd be hard for me to think of a teenager who hasn't
not struggling.
Yes.
Oh my goodness, I think that's just part of being a teenager.
Absolutely. I think if they wrote the definition of puberty surely has to have teenager in it, right?
Puberty equals hard times.
Teenager, struggle. So his family, they acknowledge Tanner had some emotional and behavioral challenges as a teen, like a lot of do. He could kind of be impulsive sometimes
Mhm.
and sometimes moody, sometimes trying to figure out where he belonged, which I think those were all. I mean, I definitely was moody and searching for belonging.
For sure.
And kids are impulsive. And so this describes every kid in America. So we're going to talk a little bit about this later, but don't you think? I mean, definitely listeners out there, I know when I started reading this case, I'm not judging Tanner. Tanner was a teenager,
Yes.
so any judgment about the things he did as a kid, he's a kid.
Yeah, absolutely.
As they say, 26 is when your brain's fully developed.
Is that what it
That's
is?
what they're saying now. Supposedly,
Oh,
it's not
okay.
till 26
Because it used to be 21?
or 22, and
So you're gonna raise the drinking limit now? And
all
voting and
all
everything
the
to
stuff.
26?
Well, yeah, supposedly. So I mean, again, that's something that we definitely are not getting hung up on. Now,
No.
we are gonna talk a little bit about some of the things that happened to him as a teenager, and so we'll get to that in a minute.
When I was a teenager, I was doing some
Well, yeah, I think about some of the things. I mean, I guess we can talk about that. I mean, you had your whole room was a road
Oh
sign
my g
map, which I'm sure was illegal to interstate signs, and
stole so many signs.
especially the ones that had our initials
Oh
on
my
them.
gosh, oh yeah,
And
Highway
then
yep.
so, yeah,
Oh
we are not
gosh.
judging.
No,
Now
I would do donuts in the high school parking lot with
or
the radio on really loud.
or mom would say, "Don't leave this area," and you would go further, and then you knocked your whole windshield
Would
out.
hit a chain. Anyway, yeah, I
Yes.
was a naughty
Oh.
teenager.
But you were a teenager.
Yeah, I was.
Exactly, and that's so, we both grew up in a small town, actually not that far from Trenton, and we both know that growing up in rural Missouri, I mean, it can be kind of boring.
It can also be really
It
fun.
can, but, I mean, because we made our own fun.
We did.
You
There was
know?
no other and we didn't have phones back then.
No, we did not have phones, so we made our own fun by meeting uptown in the parking lot,
And you
or
stuck to your word. If I
yes,
said I'd meet you uptown and we're hanging out Saturday night,
at 6 o'clock,
even if it's Tuesday, you're gonna be there Saturday night at 6 o'clock.
and everybody's sitting on the hoods of their cars
Yeah,
or out and about,
and we're
and
trying to figure out where we're gonna go.
right. Are we gonna cruise around? Are we gonna go to Seven Hills? Are we gonna go to the Washed Out Bridge? Are we
Bridge?
gonna go to the Hitch Lot? Where are we going?
Are we going to the Holtzville Inn?
Oh,
Ooh.
remember?
Those of you that know what we're talking about.
You know.
Woo!
But yeah, so I mean, we know that often you have to create your own fun.
Yeah.
But sometimes that comes with a negative side because when kids are involved, especially teenagers, and trying to find their own fun, that can equate to wrong group,
Mhm.
wrong people, finding comfort in the wrong places, which we know could mean drugs, destructive behavior. And it kind of sounded like to me that's what happened with Tanner.
Yeah.
He maybe just kind of got in with the wrong group, like kids do.
Well, you know what? How else are you gonna learn
Right.
if you don't get in the wrong group? No, for
Right.
real. If you're in the right group your whole life, how are you gonna know what the wrong
Group
is?
is. Exactly.
You gotta be in it
to
know it.
To know that you don't want to be in
That
it.
you're the rest of your life. Yeah.
Exactly.
I wanna be in the good group, not that group.
Yeah. And so, I mean, he's a good kid from a good family, and he made some bad decisions, again, just like a lot of kids do. And unfortunately, one of those decisions had some severe consequences for Tanner. And this happens about a year before he disappears. And I am going to talk about this, and we're going to talk about it again at the end because I do feel that sadly, this event kind of stereotyped Tanner.
Okay.
So, and I think you know what I mean by that.
Yeah.
So here we go. Okay, about a year before Tanner went missing, he and his older brother, Tyler, were arrested following a 2016 confrontation at an apartment in Trenton, where supposedly the two brothers were accused of displaying guns in a threatening manner during a dispute. So
Okay.
supposedly there was a fight, they got out weapons, and they were like pointing
Waving
at
them
people.
around.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Some labeled this event a home invasion with hostages. Now, most of what I read did not go that far.
Yeah.
I think maybe that sounds a little bit of a stretch to me.
Mhm.
I think maybe they were at this house, a fight broke out, and they
Had some guns.
made a bad decision to, get the weapons out. Now, both brothers faced weapons-related charges, of course, and that included unlawful use of a weapon and armed criminal action. Again, allegedly showing the firearms and creating a dangerous situation. Now, Tanner's charge stemmed from exhibiting a firearm in a threatening manner during that incident. So that's what his charge was. So basically, weapons related.
Exhibiting a firearm. So having a firearm out, showing it.
Yes, yes. And he pled guilty to that. He copped up to it and to unlawful use of the weapon. And from that case, and he was given 5 years probation. And that's another thing we need to think about here. When the incident happens, he is on probation.
Yeah.
Okay. He'd been on probation about a year. So while that incident, and I want to stress that this incident should not and does not define who Tanner was.
We all
or
mess
is.
up.
Yes. But I do believe from the research I conducted that it likely shaped how he was viewed afterward, especially in a small town, which we are going to circle back to at the end of the episode.
Okay.
Because I do think that this incident and him being on probation plays a part, especially in the investigation of this case. And it makes me really, really sad and upset. Okay. So we'll come back to that at the end. Okay. Now, let's move on to Tanner's last day and the basic timeline that we gather. And again, this is based on many resources, and we will list those in the show notes as usual. Okay, Tanner's last day. Morning, early afternoon, June 7th, 2017. Tanner reportedly spent time at home with his family that day. Pretty basic day. That included time with his fiance and his young daughter. They said he did some stuff around the house, probably just getting ready for the day. I mean, again, normal day at the house, hanging out. Family accounts described Tanner that morning as engaged, alert, making plans for the evening, no signs of distress.
No signs of suicide.
No.
If you're making plans.
No signs of that. No signs of anything like that. Tanner even says to his mom, I'll be back in about 30 minutes. I got to run and talk to someone really quickly. Now, not sure. This is a detail that I am not sure about, whether or not he tells his mom who he's going to see. Because I've read some reports that she asks, so who are you going to see? And he says, Jeremiah, but she doesn't know who that is and doesn't ask any other questions, or she didn't ask. It's a little unclear to me. So I want to make sure that I'm clear on that. I don't know. But he did tell his mom, I'll be back in 30 minutes. I think she even said something like, dinner's almost ready. I'll save you a plate. Okay, be back.
And if you were going to self-harm, you wouldn't say, I'm going to be back in 30 minutes. You'd be like, bye.
Well, yeah. Or like, hey, I'm going out for the evening. I don't know. I mean, again, we're going to talk about that too, that suicide, sadly, you don't know a lot of times when someone's suffering like that. Now, the family says, again, Tanner had no conflicts, arguments, or reasons to disappear, that these plans seemed ordinary, predictable, like I'll be right back. Okay. But as I stated earlier, Tanner never returns home. So after Tanner doesn't come home that evening, his sister Kelsey is a badass. Let me just say that right now.
Okay.
His sister Kelsey is extremely worried that night. And she, of course, as the family is. And she's like, I'm going to go out and see if I can't find him. I'm going to go drive around town.
Do my own investigation.
Yes, because where is he? He said he'd be back in 30 minutes and he's not home.
And she probably had this awful feeling.
Yeah, I think, again, his daughter's there. He was going to come home. He didn't. She ends up doing enough research of her own that evening and ends up finding out that he went to the house of a man named Jeremiah.
He did?
Yes, that's what she discovered through kind of the grapevine. Like, where might my brother be? This was one of the possible places. So since she thought her brother might have gone there, she goes there.
Good for her.
She doesn't call the police or anything because at this point,
she hasn't even been reported yet.
When she gets there, she knocks on the door. Nothing. Knocks on the door. Nothing. She thinks, I'm going to try the doorknob.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. She says, she tries the doorknob. Lo and behold, it opens. It's not locked. So she walks right in.
She is a badass.
And I don't advise this for anyone, but she was trying to get stuff done when she needed to. So she starts looking around the apartment, and it is trashed. Furniture's tipped over. There is a giant hole in one of the walls. The back door is wide open. suggesting maybe someone fled out the back at
And
some
didn't
point
shut
and
it,
didn't shut
yeah.
the door. Now, all this is alarming to her, just the shape of the apartment itself. But here's when Kelsey really starts to panic. As she's looking through the chaos in this living room, she sees Tanner's baseball cap laying in the middle of this mess. The hat he left with that night
Right.
and the hat he wore all the time. You know, I mean, my boys, we have 10 million baseball hats at our house. You know,
Yeah.
they have their favorites,
Mhm.
and that was like his favorite ball cap.
It sounds to me like this place that he was at was almost like a drug house of sorts.
Right.
But I'm not making this is just
I
what
know.
I know. I don't know, it just sounds like
I
a
know.
bad
Yeah. And you know what? It is never, well, and we'll find out why. It's never clear.
and I'm not saying Tanner was doing drugs by
No,
saying that.
sure.
I'm just saying the way the setup sounds like it sounds like
Right. Right. It sounds like that could be a possibility.
yeah.
Absolutely. Now, the cap was significant, again, because Tanner never left without it, and its presence in the apartment, number one, meant he was here, and number two, where is he and why does he not have his hat on? I mean, this is like, why is his hat?
He would not leave there without his hat on.
No. It just seemed weird. So what does Kelsey do? She goes to the police station. She takes the hat. She says, here's evidence. And she was hoping that this could get things going. Well, what do you think the police do when she brings him the hat and tells him he left?
How long has he been gone? Has he been gone 24 hours yet?
Oh,
That
he's an adult. He might have
Yeah.
just wanted a
Maybe
break.
he just wants some space. No, he's gone. There's his hat, motherfuckers.
Yes, and that's what police said. Don't panic. He probably just wanted to blow off some steam with a friend, and he'll be back. But his family knew.
And his sister was like,
Oh,
no,
no.
no.
And I think this happens to people all the time, you know, where the police, and I get it, the police, people do show up a lot of times, and I get it. You have to vet that. But if that's your child, your sibling, and you know this is not normal and no one's listening to you, how hard would that be?
Right. Making you wait
Yes,
to a
and
certain amount of time.
Yeah, and knowing, no, every second we wait, something else potentially is happening to
Mhm.
that person I love. So basically, they say, yeah. So the apartment incident, the presence of Tanner's hat, later reported interactions, all that we're going to talk a little bit more about in a second. Okay, so we'll talk more about that. But at this point, the police are like, let's just see if he shows up.
Just comes home.
Yeah,
Let's just do nothing for a
let's just
little
do
bit.
nothing. And so fast forward a week to June 13th, 2017. The family is able to officially report
I
him
don't
missing.
understand that
I
at
don't
all.
either.
That is a long time. But guess what? I shouldn't say this. If you're famous and your mom goes missing, they're going to start that day.
I know. And see, and I hate that whole situation
I
too.
know.
It makes me so sad.
Yeah.
And good for them, they have those resources. But nobody else does. You're
There's
right.
like a crazy amount of people that go missing every single year and
Nobody looks for them
nobody's
ever.
looking for them at all.
I know, and it's just so sad.
Yeah.
Now, according to the Missouri Highway Patrol website, on June 13th, 2017, the family reports him missing. And what the police do, they do what's called an Endangered Person Advisory,
Okay.
which I think I've heard of before, but I wanted to define it. And the way this is defined, an Endangered Person Advisory is a voluntary partnership between law enforcement and local broadcasting stations to rapidly disseminate information about a missing or endangered person. So basically, they were willing to work with the local news stations and say, hey, can you blast out that this kid is endangered? He's missing. We can't find him. Now, at this point, he's too young. He's too old for an Amber Alert, I believe, because he's 19.
Okay.
I don't know for sure that if there's an age with Amber Alerts, but they did do this Endangered Person Advisory.
Okay.
Now, Tanner's family emphasized over and over and over to the police. He said he was coming right home. Like, why are you not listening to us? Like, this is unexpected. It's not like we had a fight or he was going to a party or hanging out or anything like that.
Nothing happened.
No, they're like, his plans show that Tanner was involved in his family's life. He was starting to get his life even more and more together. He was making responsible choices. He was caring for his daughter. And those things really contradict with him just voluntarily.
Who the hell is Jeremiah?
Okay, that's this.
Okay, because he is the person.
Correct. So we're like, yeah, supposedly he went to see this person. So we definitely will be talking about Jeremiah. Here's another thing that I thought doesn't make sense for him to go voluntarily missing. I read in several places Tanner's dad was in the military and had been deployed for quite some time. He was coming home in 2 weeks. And Tanner was, of course, super excited about that.
Yes. Oh,
So,
yes.
again, why would he voluntarily go missing around the time his dad, who's been deployed, is coming home?
No.
Now, to understand why this case remains so controversial, you have to understand small town dynamics.
And we do.
And we do. Because we're from one, even
Yeah.
smaller than 5,500 people.
Yeah, half that size.
Yeah. And we have to think about, again, this one name that frequently surfaces in discussions around Tanner and him disappearing, and that is
Jeremiah.
Now, most reporters agree that Jeremiah was someone Tanner did know, if either a peer, part of his social orbit, an acquaintance. His name appears frequently in online forums, local conversations, social media discussions, all about Tanner. But this guy's really an anomaly. I can't find a lot about him. And have to be very, very clear, because we do want to be factually accurate. This person, Jeremiah, he's never been charged with anything. He has never even officially been named a suspect, which blows my mind.
Okay.
Law enforcement stated there is no evidence linking Jeremiah.
Jeremiah.
How's
it possible?
Okay, exactly. So you can see already why this case might be a little
Frustrating.
irritating for especially his family. And again, despite the fact, police are like, no connection, his name persists. So why does his name keep coming up? Well, according to community members, Jeremiah was allegedly involved in a prior dispute involving Tanner. And again, this is not clear to me. There is so much information out there about this case, and a lot of it is, like 2 different versions of something.
Sure.
Or so I just want
It's
to.
not all accurate.
Right. And so I
Mhm.
want to make sure, again,
You
that
get it
we're.
as close as possible.
Yeah. But allegedly, Jeremiah was involved in a prior dispute involving Tanner, loosely, inconsistently connected to the rumors of this 2016 weapons charge. Some people claim this Jeremiah was present when Tanner and his brother went in and showed those weapons at that house.
Oh,
Some
they think
claim
that
Jeremiah
was
was
in
there.
was there. Okay.
Yes. Now, again, don't know if that's true or not. Police have, again, repeatedly stated they found no evidence tying that incident to Tanner's death. But again, okay, why not? Tell me why there's no connection. It's like they can't tell you why.
Well, they would have had to prove that there's no connection.
But they
So
never.
what did they do to do that?
Nothing.
Okay.
And that's what's frustrating. So, as we frequently see in this case, police state no evidence tying this, no evidence tying that. Sorry, no evidence that indicates Tanner's disappearance or potential anything goes with Jeremiah or the incident from a year ago. Okay, but when a young person goes missing, especially under weird circumstances, people start replaying every interaction, every argument, every text.
Mhm.
Like, how can I read, are there clues
How can I
here?
figure out where he is based on all this information?
Yes, what I have. So in the absence of transparency, speculation grows. And I'm sorry, but in this case, the police are not being transparent. The police are not, from what I read and researched, actively trying to help the family. And I know that police department up there has spoken out, and stated they did, blah, blah, blah. But from what I can tell, the only way this kind of speculation grows is when people don't have answers and feel like
Mhm.
no one's helping them.
Mhm.
So in the absence of a true investigation, true non-biased police work, evidence that could have possibly answered a lot of questions was either never investigated, completely missed, or destroyed, whether that was intentional or unintentional. They never searched that house where she found
The hat?
the hat.
They never did.
Never did.
They never went there.
Nope, never went there. From what I read,
Even though his hat was found there and he was
Yes.
obviously there.
if they went there, they did not get a warrant. They didn't search it. They may have went there to talk to him, but they did not do any that I can find of that house.
Oh my gosh.
Some community members have claimed that Jeremiah knows more. Like, he does know some things. Others say he's being unfairly targeted. So
Okay.
some people claim he's
So it's
innocent.
kind of some people think he's innocent, some people think he should have been questioned more.
Right. Now, what it does prove is to me is that Kelsey was doing a lot more work than the police were because she's already found where he went, they think, his hat, and that he had been wearing that hat that day. And the fact that they did not find that highly suspicious enough, and the fact that she told them the house was destroyed and my brother didn't come home and there's this hat. Wouldn't you at least be looking for someone who maybe had been beat up?
Like, you would think, okay, the house was destroyed. That means that they had a fight and destroyed the house and his
Yes.
hat flipped off and then he somehow left the house without the hat.
Yeah, or they took him somewhere. Yes,
yeah.
and so but that was never they said,
So
he's
they
a young
never
kid."
looked for, like, blood or fingerprints or
Well,
anything at this house.
Okay, so reports are conflicting about the following in regards to Jeremiah, okay? How and when was he officially questioned by police about the ball cap and about meeting with Tanner that day? Like I could not find any information about an official record where they interviewed him about this.
Okay.
So, did they? Is there a police report on file with Jeremiah's interview? I don't know because I would have thought some of that would have become public information by now, and I
Mhm.
can't find anything about it. Reports say police had collected enough evidence of some kind that they were able to issue a warrant to search his dad's property, Jeremiah's dad's property,
But not his.
but not his. So, how
Does
was
not
that
make sense at all.
discovered? Exactly. Now, police search his property and a cadaver dog hits near a burn pit. Cadaver dogs are specifically meant to find human remains, not animal remains.
Okay.
So they look through this burn pit and all they can find are animal bones. But he hits that's
freaky in
sketchy.
itself.
Exactly. Other reports also say that while putting up missing posters during that week in Trenton after Tanner's disappearance, Kelsey's in a parking lot somewhere putting up missing posters, and she looks across the parking lot and sees Jeremiah in a car watching her.
Ooh.
And supposedly,
Kelsey is
again,
a badass.
she walks over to the car and says, "Get out. We need to talk. Where's my brother? What's going on?" Well, as she's talking to him,
Oh, man.
she's almost positive he's wearing Tanner's t-shirt.
What? The shirt that he left the house
Well,
in?
that's also disputed. But
Ugh.
she believes so much that that is Tanner's shirt, which she thinks it has cuts in it. She also
Uh-huh.
thought there were cigarette burns on
Uh-huh.
it. She said, "You are following me to the police and you are handing that shirt
I
over
bet he
to
did
them."
not follow.
He did.
He did?
Believe it or not. He did. He followed her. Excuse me. When he gets to the police station, he refuses to turn the shirt over. Well, they keep at him, and finally he does. Now, he finally gives the shirt over. Research also shows the police claim it was not Tanner's shirt, but no one's seen any. I've not seen any evidence. Did you do DNA? Had the parents seen the shirt and verified? According to the police, it wasn't Tanner's shirt. But
According to what? Like,
again, according to how'd you find that out? Did you do DNA? What did you do? I
seems
don't
like
know.
the police are not working
Taking this
here.
seriously.
Yeah.
Agreed. And they've got a kid missing. And even with all these weird things, very quickly, the police write off Jeremiah as being innocent, no wrongdoing in regards to Tanner's disappearance. Again, don't know if he was officially interviewed, what he said.
Lie detector test.
Nothing. Now, back in June, on June 7th, 2017, the night Tanner disappears that day, Tanner left home on foot. We know that. He was walking. He told his family he'd be back in 30 minutes. He did not take any belongings besides the clothes on his back and his hat on his head. At this time, go ahead.
So he was on foot.
Correct.
So was Jeremiah's house within walking distance?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. I mean, it's Trenton, kind of like,
Yeah,
our
true.
town, and it's
Yeah.
kind of like
Everything's in walking
you
distance.
can walk from one side to the other
Yeah.
in a decent amount of time, I'm
Yeah.
assuming. This is an important piece of information too, because I think this, of course, would have helped. He did not have a cell phone at the time.
Okay.
So no cell phone on him, because I know people are probably wondering about that. Of course, he didn't leave a note because he's coming back.
Yeah.
I mean, and there was no indication of anything being wrong when he left. Here's the other big thing. He's on parole. Is he gonna just ditch his parole?
No,
No.
no.
He is not going to go off the
No.
radar to blow off some steam because he knows he'll end up back in
And he
jail.
does have something to lose. He has a wife and
And a fiancé,
a
yes.
fiancé and a child.
Absolutely. So, finally, 6 days after he does not return, like I said before, they do the Endangered Person Advisory. Now, according to the police, they claim they did about 70 interviews, the police claim, with nothing that led them anywhere. No confirmed sightings, no physical evidence, no Tanner. And this goes on for 6 months.
Oh my gosh.
No information. Again, nothing coming up with this Jeremiah, nothing coming up the hat thing, the shirt thing. He's gone. So this family lives in agony from June to December. This is where we get into some mayhem. We're going to fast forward to December 4th, 2017. And this is really important to take into consideration. He went missing in June.
Okay.
We're fast forwarding to December.
6 months.
6 months in Missouri.
That's a lot of elements.
From potentially 90 to 100-degree heat to
snow.
We're talking about all the elements. This story makes me super sad because we're going to fast forward to December 4th, 2017. 2 kids whom supposedly knew Tanner, again, small town, were walking to school along a path they took regularly, and they heard a creaking sound. And at this point, of course, it's December. The leaves have fallen off the trees. The boys look toward that creaking noise and see a body hanging from a tree.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And here's what's even crazier about this. This is just 3 blocks from Tanner's house. 3 blocks.
Okay, did Tanner have was he naked?
We're going to get to all that. But to me, the fact that he has supposedly been hanging there for 6 months and no one has seen him. And this is a path traveled regularly back and forth between the school and town. I looked it up. Terry and I got the map out and looked. It's right in the middle of town. Right in the middle of town.
This body was placed there.
That is what a lot of people believe. So let's talk a little bit about some of this.
Because you think all the leaves are disappearing off the trees.
Yes.
You can't see a body. It was placed there.
Now, before we talk about the facts of the crime scene, I think our listeners need to know that the Trenton police very quickly rule Tanner's death a suicide by hanging. I mean, like, the police are called, they get there. Now, from what I read, and I don't know if this is true or not, the crime scene examiner or investigator on the scene for Tanner had only been on the job a few months, was a very new CSI investigator, and very quickly, with not the facts to support it, ruled this a suicide. And what a lot of people don't know is that crime scene investigators, they have the call on that, them and the coroner.
Okay.
The police don't determine the manner of death. They collect the evidence to support that. But they went with this investigator's hanging theory and flew with it.
So they're saying that 6 months ago, he walked out of his house, walked a few blocks from his house, hung himself in this tree, and was there for 6 months and nobody noticed.
And they've searched the town high and low for months, and they didn't find him and see him.
How did he get 25 feet in the air?
Okay, we haven't got to that yet.
Okay. Gosh.
So, okay, let's talk a little bit about the crime scene.
Okay.
And all I know, again, is what I've researched. And what's sad is you're going to find out because they ruled it a suicide by hanging very quickly, what do you think they didn't do?
Investigate?
Yeah, they didn't do what they should have done, regardless.
They're like, oh, it's been ruled this, so we're done.
Yeah, we don't need to collect all this. Well, here's what
Please don't let anything bad happen to me in Trenton.
Yeah, right. Seriously.
Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, so the position and location of Tanner. The body was suspended by the neck from a branch above a tangle of tree limbs approximately 25 feet in the air. So you're telling me he climbed this tree 25 feet in the air to hang himself?
No.
He needs to go up. He doesn't need to go 25 feet. He can go 10 feet.
Yeah.
So that makes no sense. This is a natural wooded area near a frequently used path, but they had not seen him for months? Like people didn't notice him? Come on. From what I'd read, a construction worker claims he was in the area working on a project from June through August.
Never saw nothing.
Never saw anything, smelled anything, heard anything. Okay, if that body was hanging there as of June 7th or even a little bit later, it's gonna start to decompose.
And smell.
Yes, and the wind blowing and how far he was in the tree, people are gonna smell that, and people were actively looking for Tanner. They knew someone was
You're gonna
missing.
see that body, just like those
Yes!
kids saw that.
It's so just wait. Okay, the condition of the body. This is just so perplexing. Of course, his remains were badly decomposed, which made visual identification difficult at first. His fingers and most of his hands, listen to this, were described as being mummified.
What's that mean exactly?
So, mummification is a process that takes extremely dry environment. You think about the Egyptians, they would drain the body of all the fluids and then they would wrap it in the mummification wrap. And, it was all about basically preserving and drying out the body. And it takes a very dry atmosphere for that to happen.
Would it take about 6 months?
Well, I have seen different research on this. Some people claim, no, some researchers say there is a mummification can start as early as 3 to 6 days after someone passes away in the right conditions. So, again, very strange. Mummification in Missouri?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it's too damp. It's too wet. His feet are missing when his body is discovered hanging from that tree.
So he cut off his feet and climbed the tree and hang himself? No.
Exactly. Now, police want to say, well, this is just natural decomposition.
His feet?
They say, or an animal. 25 feet in the air, an animal grabbed him and pulled him off.
And ate both his feet?
Yes.
That's it?
Yeah. So, again, not making sense. His clothing, he only had on underwear, I believe. That's all he was dressed in. So he undressed to hang himself. Why would he do that? Clothing items, from what I read, his shirt, pants, and socks, plus his shoes were found at the scene, indicating this person is Tanner, and those are his clothes. So he got undressed?
So was that shirt the shirt that...
Not the same. I mean, that's a different shirt, of
Okay.
course. So, and that's why.
So he got undressed and cut his feet off and climbed up in the chair. Like, it doesn't even know.
Yeah. Based on the state of the clothing, investigators claim the clothes have been laying there for some time. Well,
what's that mean?
Who's to say those hadn't been laying somewhere else for some time and moved to this location? They were claiming like, oh, it's been here. They've been here for 6 months. That's what they were trying to claim. Okay. Police end up officially confirming that this is Tanner using dental records.
Oh, my goodness.
But I also read they fucking asked his dad to come to the scene to visually identify him.
They instead of at the
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I read. And if they
terrible.
did that, that is awful. How awful that they had to have, that he had to see that. His son.
Yes. I mean, a lot of people have to identify bodies, but not in that sort of a situation.
Right. Now, not only police, but the medical examiner, the coroner, again, who has the final say on that death certificate, writes down suicide by hanging.
Dude, it's almost like they do not want to take on the case.
No, they don't want to take the time to investigate.
Like they're being lazy and just saying, okay, it'd be much easier. There's too many rabbit holes to go down here. Let's just call it a suicide and be done.
We want to put a bow on this and say it's over with. Now, authorities state that only neck trauma consistent with hanging was found. So they claim there's no evidence like other violent injuries happened, or that's what they say. Police maintain that the body's condition aligned with prolonged exposure of over 6 months, though, again, everyone's questioning the decomposition patterns, the feet gone, the hands mummified. They did not see the bug infestation. That's hard to talk about, but they did not see that what they would have thought for someone who'd been hanging there for 6 months. I mean,
They did not see that.
no, no,
It
like,
did.
bugs are gonna,
Yeah.
so, no. They did not feel like that showed that. And Tanner's family, they dispute this suicide ruling. They're like, "No, he is a loving father. He's engaged to be married. His life's on the up and, moving forward. There is no suicidal intent here." The level and type of decomposition, again, the mummified fingers, missing feet, seems so inconsistent with 6 months of humidity and weather exposure in northern Missouri. Northern Missouri.
'Cause so, like, where do they think the feet went?
They believe that the feet were torn off. They stand by the feet must have either, 1, decomposed and due to the gravity fallen
Fallen off?
off and animals carried them away, or animals ate them off. Again, it's hard to talk about.
Wow.
But the family's like, "This doesn't make sense." And,
I feel horrible for his
oh my
family.
gosh, eyewitnesses later tell the family, "We use this trail all the time, and we never saw anything. We would have seen that," prompting again speculation about when did this body actually get put in
Mhm.
the tree. So, okay. Some public discussion and experts again note that the feet and ankles can detach during decomposition.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. And again, many people say, "You climb a tree without feet." This doesn't make
Right.
sense. Again, the mummification aspect also became a talking point because people are like, he had to have been put in some dry
A basement.
yes, some place where that process was able to start for some reason on the hands. Now, petitioners and community supporters have raised all kinds of issues, such as informally assess scenes. They did not put up caution tape. They did not,
Mm-mm.
they did not do the things that they should have.
Mhm.
There's questions about how thoroughly they collected samples from the environment. Like, okay,
It sounds like they just were like, "This isn't happening. It's just a suicide.
or
Just
this
make it
he's a
it's just gonna
troublemaker,
go
or yeah,
away."
I don't know what they're thinking, but they're not thinking like they should be. Now, basically, people feel like this is super shoddy police work, and it just continues to come up throughout this case, and I can't help it. And honestly, I could not find anywhere where Trenton does their due diligence to dispel these
Yeah.
rumors either. Because
They're just like, "Oh, it was a suicide."
if I'm the police, come forward. Okay, here's how we know it's not Jeremiah. Here's how we know that wasn't his t-shirt. Here's how we know the hands could have mummified. Like, they're not telling that. Another awful fact, like I said, that his dad was called to the
Yeah.
scene to identify. And
Yeah.
the family, they did not believe this. And, the dad, of course, is traumatized from seeing that, and they just don't believe it. So they're like, we're going to hire an independent agency that we choose to do another autopsy.
Mhm. Okay.
Sadly, the result was the same. This independent agency also ruled it a suicide by hanging with no evidence of other possibilities, aka homicide. I know. So, this poor family, I know they were hoping that that would be different so that hopefully they could get the case reopened. Now, Tanner's family immediately expressed disbelief. How could a body hang for 6 months in Missouri without being seen? How could it go unnoticed near a walking path, homes, a construction site? That's the big thing. And here's what the police say to that. Why didn't anyone see him and notice him for 6 months? Well, because people don't look up when they walk.
Oh, that's what they
That's what they
said?
said. People don't look up when they walk.
Good
Do you look
one.
up when you
Good
walk?
one.
Yeah.
But I can sure smell.
Right. Now, Tanner's mother questioned again the mummification. She said, in order for a body to mummify, it has to be away from humidity. And it's just not decomposed enough. And what's sad to me is by the sounds of it, his family had to look at these pictures of him
Mhm. Mhm.
because they're trying to get evidence.
Yeah.
And that's so
Could you
sad.
imagine?
Oh.
No.
Now, as the suicide ruling settles in with the family, again, attention returns to unresolved questions, especially Jeremiah. Some locals claim he totally avoided speaking about it at all. Others, like, he would not cooperate. Some people claim he was, like, uncooperative with the police. Others, again, say he fully cooperated and that he's, again, unfairly targeted. Here's what we do know. Police say Jeremiah was looked at. Again, can't find
What's
anything
that
about that.
mean?
Right, what's that mean? Police say there was no evidence tied to him, and police tell us no charges are filed. So all we know is what the police wanna tell
How
us.
do they know that Tanner wasn't in his basement
Exactly.
since they never went in there?
Right.
How do they even know?
And we've talked about 6 months. They've cleaned up, gotten rid of all the evidence by now, and we're gonna talk about what some people think may have happened,
Mhm.
but here's the thing, when families feel dismissed, especially by law enforcement, they just latch onto anything, any name, anything. And so, it was just sad because they did feel like Jeremiah had more to give and he wasn't giving it. Now, this case, of course, gained national attention, specifically through a show called Crime Watch Daily with Chris Hansen. And it kind of has reignited the case over the last few years. Online forums are constantly dissecting Tanner's past, his present, at the time of this
Mhm.
incident, where are the trees located, the missing feet,
Yeah.
how high he was up, Jeremiah's role. And again, they're all theories.
Yeah.
So, as we said earlier, Tanner struggled like most teens do. But here's what him being a struggling teenager doesn't explain: a body unseen for months on
Mhm.
a common path, used regularly. No smell.
No odor
Nobody
whatsoever.
ever claimed they smelled anything. The decomposition inconsistencies on the body, the hands, the feet, all
Mhm.
that. A lack of forensic clarity and a botched crime scene investigation.
Yes.
None of those are like, oh, Tanner was struggling, and so let's botch the crime scene.
Right.
That Jeremiah's existence in the story doesn't really answer those questions either. You know, Even if every rumor went away tomorrow, like every rumor, the physical facts still should be explained. They
Yes.
demand explanation.
Yes.
So all we have that really remains in this case are unanswered questions. And that's what's so hard, I think, for the family. Was Tanner there the whole time?
No.
Could his body have been moved?
Yes.
Some informants went to the family anonymously, claiming he was killed because of the home invasion a
Mhm.
year before, was tortured, put in a freezer, and then staged to be a suicide
Oh
in the
my
tree.
gosh.
Can you imagine?
No.
Others say, and I read one situation where one of the family members said, I think he got in a situation where maybe they were trying to intimidate Tanner, maybe just planned on roughing him up, and they took it too far.
But Tanner voluntarily went to
To
this
the house,
place.
correct.
Like
Voluntarily.
that,
Yes.
he did not know he was going to die.
No, agreed. And again, questions about the whole investigation, and then did assumptions that it was suicide in the inquiry too soon? Yes, I
Yes,
believe
I
that.
think so too.
For sure.
Especially if they took it to another person and they said, "Oh yeah, I've come to the same thing." It was
Conclusion.
yeah.
And this is what perhaps is super important to me. Did the rush to close this case, did the rush to just tie this up and put a bow on it, silence voices that deserve to be
I
heard?
think so.
Me too, 1000%.
Mhm.
So here's a summary of the competing claims between the police and Tanner's family. Okay, the evidence: Tanner's demeanor before he disappeared. Official interpretation by the police: you're right, there's no clear signs of suicide. They didn't think so either.
Yeah.
Family: nope, he was happy, he's engaged, she has a small child. Okay, time and decay of the body. According to the police, this is consistent with months of exposure. Parents, family, the mummification, everything suggests a different timeline. Search thoroughness. According to the police, they followed up on all credible leads. Sorry, we didn't find anything. According to the parents, the crime scene was not investigated. Important areas were not examined. All of that. The role of Jeremiah.
Yeah, this is the one that gets me.
Police, not a suspect, they say. Not a suspect. Family's not saying, Jeremiah, you killed our son, but you have some unexplained connection to this, and you're not telling us, and it's fueling our suspicion of you.
Yes.
And then, of course, the missing feet. What do police say? Oh, that's natural decomposition, animal activity, and again, family. No. The height of the tree, the location,
No.
all of that. Not being dressed, all of that. Now, again, you guys, this case has been on my mind, my heart, and I definitely want us to take a
Mhm.
moment here and pray not only for Tanner's family, but for the community of Trenton. Would you mind doing that for us, Mindy?
Most definitely. Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, we just want to come to you today and bring to you this case of Tanner Ward, Lord. Um, we just ask that you can somehow bring some closure, some answers, anything to the family of Tanner, to his friends, to his fiance, to his child, that you will just be with them and lead them to find out what truly happened and just give them comfort just at the loss of their son and having to go through that and having to see that. And
Yeah.
Lord, we just ask that you comfort them any way you can and give them answers. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Tanner Ward, he's not a headline. He's a son, he was a brother, a father, a fiance, and he was your all American 19-year-old in the Midwest just trying to head in the right direction and make some positive changes in his life. According to many, many people that I've talked to that have emailed me, Trenton, Missouri is still filled with hashtag justice for Tanner Ward signs everywhere. The community feels like the family deserves for this case to be reopened, as do I, and re examined by people who are focused on finding answers to all of these unanswered questions. And those people are not the Trenton Police Department. We need an outside agency who's neutral in this. We are hoping the Trenton Police Department would be open to reopening this case. So if you have any information about Tanner Ward's death, please call the Trenton Police Department at 660 359 5557. Again, 660-359-5557. Now, we will put those numbers in our show notes. If you do not feel comfortable contacting the Trenton Police Department, because again, this whole situation, contact your county sheriff, contact, again, someone else law enforcement related. But if you know anything or
You could
think,
be a huge help for their family.
as we know, a lot of cases are solved because one person comes
Hmm.
forward. And until these questions are answered, Tanner's story is not finished. And this is not finished for his family. As we stated earlier in this episode, I also think this brings up an interesting question. Do law enforcement treat juveniles with a record, even one instance on their record, differently than those who don't have a record? Well,
Good question.
probably obvious answer is yes. According to research, one of the hardest truths in cases involving young people is that once you are a juvenile with a record, that label lots of times sticks. Law enforcement, sometimes even the community, may start seeing kids who make mistakes as problem kids or
Yeah.
bad kids involved in the wrong thing. Again, they're just kids.
Kids. Yeah.
That creates bias, whether it's intentional or not, where past behavior overshadows who they're trying to be now. And I think that played part in this. Instead of giving kids the benefit of the doubt, sometimes they're watched more closely, they're questioned more aggressively, and they're judged more harshly.
Yes.
And over time, that label really can follow them
Mm.
everywhere. And it makes it harder for them to move forward.
Well, and to grow up and live a normal life, just
Yes.
they need to be able to let that go and know that it was a
Yes.
part of growing up.
Yes. And you guys, I do think that played a bit of a part in here. And I do think that happens in other cases as well. And it's not right and it's not fair. You guys, thank you so much for being with us today. Thank you again to Megan for this case recommendation, because our podcast mission does center around victims, family advocacy, and in this case, we're also advocating for the community of Trenton.
Thank you for being with us this week. And if you feel like this is a community you want to be a part of, then please rate and review us on your listening platform. Also, follow us on our Patreon, Instagram, and Facebook. And remember, if you have a case that you would like us to consider for an episode, please email us at Missouri Mayhem Sisters at gmail.com.
Thank you for being with us today. Thank you for talking and remembering Tanner with us. Don't forget, stay safe, stay kind, and stay curious. Keep asking questions. This has been Missouri Mayhem. I'm Megan.
And I'm Mindy,
Missouri, you bring the mystery.
and we'll bring the mayhem.
Peace
Peace out.